Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Championship Showcase, Secrets for Success, from the playing field of competition to the field of life. We've been speaking with inspirational sports leaders, former athletes, coaches, administrators, sports psychologists, and related professionals who are sharing their life strategies and empowering messages of hope and purpose to support those athletes that are seeking to make a successful transition. My name is Dominic Militello. We're so glad you could join us. We have a fantastic show for you today, so let's jump right in. Today we are speaking with ever gracious and the heavyweight champion of the world, Evander Holyfield. On April 10th, 2010, Evander, the real deal, became a five-time heavyweight boxing champion of the world. His uprising started after winning a National Golden Gloves Championship in 1984. From there, Evander went on to win Olympic bronze at the 1984 Los Angeles Olympic Summer Games. After the Olympics, Evander turned professional and first fought in the junior heavyweight and cruiserweight classes. He won the WBA World Cruiserweight title in 1986 by defeating the reigning champion Dwight Kawhi. Evander is probably the most remembered for his famous fights with Iron Mike Tyson, who decided to take a bite out of Evander's ear during their second fight. Being deeply religious, Evander forgave Tyson for the incident. Over 26 years of professional prize fighting, Evander officially retired at the age of 51. When he's not dancing with the stars or writing his memoir titled Becoming Holyfield, A Fighter's Journey, or being inducted into the Nevada Boxing Hall of Fame, where ironically Mike Tyson presented him with his trophy, or getting in the ring with politicians to raise money for great causes, Evander devotes a great deal of his time to helping young people. The Holyfield Foundation supports numerous programs for inner-city children all across the country. We had a chance to meet the champ recently at a local event here in Salt Lake City, hosted by Director and Police Officer Jerry Silva in the South Salt Lake Police Athletic League. We're very fortunate and thrilled to have the champion of the world with us, Evander Holyfield. Evander, welcome to the Championship Showcase.
Thank you.
Well, Evander, we know you're very busy, and we really appreciate spending some time with us today. We know you're known around the world, but for those listening who may not be as aware with your upbringing, will you share with us a little bit about how it all started for you and maybe why you chose boxing?
Well, I'm the youngest of 9 in my family, and of course, no one chooses their parents. We were considered poor, and we lived in the ghetto, and a lot of people say that we wasn't smart enough. But I started boxing at the age of 8 years old. And at the age of 8 years old, my mother told us, raised us, and said it's not good to be prejudiced because you limit your opportunity of being successful if you're prejudiced. Someone has to look like you to give you an opportunity. And my mother said, we black and in our neighborhood everybody's poor. They don't have even enough for themselves. So my mother taught us not to be prejudiced. And just so when I went to the boys club, it was first integrated boys club in Atlanta, and this older white man named Carter Markin told me I could be like Ali if I listened, follow direction, and not quit. And pretty much he gave me a goal, something to shoot at, and I went home and asked my mother, and my mother said I could. You just have to listen, follow direction, not quit. And that's how it started.
Great story. And I know you tell a story about a kid named Cecil Collins. What lesson came from meeting him?
Well, for one thing, Cecil Collins was a white kid, and I stayed in an all-black neighborhood, and there was something that when you're amongst yourself, kids, and I was told that, white boys didn't know how to fight. They was very smart, but they didn't know how to fight. And so Cecil Collins was the first white kid that ever beat me in the game of boxing. And he beat me twice. He beat me when I was 11 years old twice. And finally, when I turned 12, because my mother wouldn't let me quit, I eventually beat him. But I learned a valuable lesson. I realized skin color didn't make a difference, and the difference is that, he wasn't afraid, and he was a tough kid, and he came from a poor neighborhood too, But at first I thought it was true because all the other white kids that I fought, every time I hit them one time, they just said, "Oh God," and just start crying. But Cecil Collins came from a tough neighborhood, and he's the first boxer that ever hit me back. And then so that's the reason why I never forget Cecil Collins, because he's the first guy that gave me my first defeat and my second defeat.
Great. Excellent. Excellent. Great story from an early age of not quitting and going back and keep going at it, it sounds like. Well, share with us the experience you had in the Olympics, Evander. I know it must have been an honor representing your country in the Olympics, but what else did you learn through your experience there?
Well, in the Olympics, of course, the reigning light heavyweight amateur champion was from the United States. So to even get a chance to represent the United States, I had to fight the best. And and I beat him 4 times out of 6, and that's how I made the Olympic team. But of course, through 8 years old to 21, a lot of things didn't go my way. And, my mother told me never quit, never complain, just keep working. And I found out that it do work. And just so happened that, I made the Olympic team, and I've knocked out my first 3 opponents. And everybody started talking about this guy may get the best boxer award. And of course, on my semifinal, I fight this kid, and and I'm about to knock him out, but he just keep holding, he keep grabbing. But I know I'm gonna knock him out. And eventually, I knocked him out. But the referee said I hit him on a break, but I clearly didn't hit him on a break, and they was wrong. But because the referee said it was that, they couldn't reverse the decision, so I lose by disqualification. But because they was wrong, they allowed me to receive the medal. But that's the reason why I didn't get the opportunity to fight for the gold medal. But in the point of that happening, I'm the one out of the whole Olympics. I got the $1 million contract, and I got the ABC contract. But it was a lesson learned that my mother told me, just hold your tongue, hold your head high. You don't have to complain, argue. People would see that they made a mistake. But that I didn't get my gold medal, but I did get the ABC contract and the $1 million.
Nice. Excellent. Excellent. Well, it sounds like your mother was obviously a very strong influence in your life. Did you have other trainers or managers that you relied on, or that you took messages, life strategies from?
Well, of course, Carter Morgan he's my mentor. He was like a grandfather to me. My mother never had any money. He paid for all my trips, and I realized I wouldn't have been in boxing if it wasn't for him. But I had a good mother, but the fact of the matter, we didn't have any money, and it's just like people say, it take a village, because everywhere that you go, you'll find that my mother brought me up properly to respect my elders and to say yes ma'am, yes sir, no sir, and all these. These are the things that I wasn't talking. My mother said, know who your friends are and know who's an adult. My mother just taught me very good manners, and these things allowed me to get the opportunities that I got. And I'm just so thankful, because my mother and my grandmother, both of them. My grandmother used to tell me what the Bible said about all these things. She'd tell me revenge is the Lord and all this. So, I was a very active kid at a young age and got a lot of whoopings. And it changed me. Eventually it changed me, and I'm who I am because, I had a mother that didn't give up on me.
Now, great stuff, Evander. And a question I had for you surrounding that, was that the reason why you were able to forgive Tyson for taking a chunk out of your ear in your second fight with him?
Sure. I'm like, because I was a kid as well. You got to understand, I made a lot of mistakes, and I did a lot of things that wasn't right. And so, if you don't forgive, you won't be forgiven. And it just, when you don't choose your skin color, you don't choose your neighborhood, and you don't choose, and you got some bad people out there. I was a blessed kid because if it wasn't for Carter Morgan and it wasn't for people he knew, Mrs. Davidson, who ran the amateur boxing program, I wouldn't got the opportunity that I got. And so I'm just so thankful for what the Word of God speak about, forgiving, and so you forgive, then someone forgive you. I wouldn't always say the right things when I was a kid. I said things I heard other people say. You get punished for that. Someone give up on me and like this. But I was fortunate enough to continue to do the very best I can with what I knew, what the Word of God say, and it allowed me to come up in the ranks, and it allowed other people who had more than me give me an opportunity, because I didn't have the money. I never did pay for anything as a kid coming up because we didn't have any money. If it cost me some money, I wasn't gonna go. And so so that lets you know that I had to have a good attitude for someone to pay my fare and make sure that I was taken care of and well prepared. And so I have a lot to be thankful for, and that's the reason I try to forgive others and realize that we all fall short at some point in time.
Well, you certainly have a strong belief system. And I recently read that you said this: you determine your own destiny by what you choose to believe and what you choose to say. What did you mean by that, Evander?
Well, meaning that, you said the wrong things. They'll put you out. And, so the thing is that, if people kind of say, when you die for what you say, I'm talking about at some point in time, it comes to that point that I was a Christian. I believe in the Word of God, and it worked. And, so as I came up, a lot of people said, why you got to talk about Jesus all the time? And I said, well, this is what I believe in. I'm not trying to make somebody else believe in it. They got a choice, But I just know that this worked for me. And it did. And so I think that the conversation that we are having today is all because of how good Jesus are, not how good I am, because I'm the one that failed. But Jesus gave you an opportunity. As long as you want an opportunity, Jesus will give you another opportunity. And I'm so happy to spread the word and to testify that this is the reason why I am the person that I am today. And my boxing career been over, and people still want to hear what I have to say about my mother and how these great things happen and how I was able to overcome the things that happened to me.
Well, I think it's a testament, Evander, to your upbringing, those around you that supported you, your personality, your values, your hard work, your never give up attitude. All those things factor into it. You said recently the second half of your life is going to be better than the first half. You made $230 million in the first half of your life, and you still have got so you say you still have reasons to live. What did you mean by that?
Well, it's just like, just think about, now, in the point of making that much money, you got to look at the perspective. I was a kid. I'm the youngest of 9, and and all my brothers and sisters didn't do as well as I've done, but they gave their all. and God so blessed the youngest one to be able to come up and listen and do the things that my parents asked me to do. Because my mother, the difference between me and the rest of my brothers and sisters, my mother wasn't home with them. My mother used to work 10 to 10. But my mother had a heart attack when I was a kid, when I was young, so my mom was at home every day. So I got my mama, meaning that she stayed on me, and I probably wouldn't have made it if my mother wasn't home. But because my mother was home, I got caught in everything that I ever done. I got 3 whoopings a day, and eventually I stopped. I stopped trying to do anything, because the fact of the matter is that, you know what, I got tired of getting the whoopings. And so, and the fact that all that, I made all the money, because I just realized that what my mom is saying is right. And, even though my friends, their parents didn't whoop them, mine did. So, as a kid, your ego is very fragile. So, you get embarrassed if they know that you're getting whooping at 15, 16 years old. Well, I did. So, I eventually stopped. And I see how it changed my life. So, everything from 84, everything was just wonderful. But you start making other mistakes of things that you don't know. And so, in the point of these things happening to me, because I read the Bible always, it talked about Job. How Job, he just didn't lose his money. He lost some kids and all that. So, I was fortunate enough that I ain't lose no kids and all that, but the fact of the matter is that God say he will recover you. And so God said your second half of your life is going to be better than your first half. So I have a lot to look forward to, and I just know things will be well.
You're listening to the Championship Showcase, Secrets for Success. From the playing field of competition to the field of life, we're speaking with the world champion, Evander Holyfield. Evander, some people find it hard to believe to make as much money as you did and to lose all of it. What happened, if you don't mind sharing what happened with us?
Well, I wouldn't say most of it, because I didn't lose all of it. It's just a fact that I didn't blow my money, and it just so happened that when you have business, you got other people. When like it's my company, if somebody else infiltrate the company and cause you to lose, not because you watching, because somebody else working for you are watching them, and they borrowed money on all my properties and all this, and so that will allow things to go bad, and so I never went broke. It just I had to move from my house and all this, and had to scale it down, but I never was broke. And, so I never lost everything. And so, but I realized that, because I was Evander Holyfield, and people make money off seeing, reporting and all this, it wasn't nothing that, if I look at business like business really are, everybody has to downside sometimes to go back up. And I had to downside, and I wasn't prideful about it. I realized that, okay, I came from a situation that I never ever thought that I could ever make in that kind of money. I said, what person for the ghetto really think they gonna be a millionaire? But to make 250-some million, what? Don't nobody even think that big. I didn't think that big, and I made it. But the fact that I was able to, I was able to, all my kids were able to get a college education, and all this and stuff. So the whole thing is that I actually accomplished more than I ever thought I would. And, you know, it let me know that regardless of how much money that you make, you still need Jesus. And that's my selling point to people. I said, I don't know how my mama made it with no money and just by herself and raising all of us. And I said, now, I have all the money and the things that I want to. I said, I just don't think I did better than her. But the point of the matter is that, you know, I have Jesus. You know, if I don't lose Jesus, then I ain't lost nothing, because Jesus have everything. And I know it's just recovery. Life is about recovery.
Right. And I know you have some children, and a couple of them, at least one, is following in your footsteps. What are the messages, or what's the main message you're giving your sons that want, or at least your son Evan, I believe it is, who wants to follow in your footsteps in a boxing career?
Well, you know, the one is the most important thing that, you know, I didn't speak about much. You know, my grandmother prayed for me all the time, but I got more whoopings than everybody. So my grandmother prayed for me all the time, always talking about Jesus. Like this, she said, if it ain't nothing, you hold on to Jesus. You just hold on to Jesus. So when I tell my son, I say, you know what? I say, no, one of the most important thing in life that you ever gonna need is Jesus. I say, anytime you go up, you're gonna need Jesus. Anytime you come down, you're gonna need Jesus. If you just be still, you're gonna need Jesus. This is what it is. This was my strength. This is what allowed me to overcome the fear the fear that everybody have, to step out there. I said, as you grow, I see, you'll find you out there by yourself. Don't nobody know how you feel but you and Jesus. I said, but if you don't get a relationship with Jesus, then you can't talk to him, you can't trust him, you can't understand him. I said, but my grandmother introduced me to Jesus at a young age, and I found that it works, because I used to get a lot of whoopings, so I always call Jesus to help me with my mom.
Well, that's good. That's a good strategy. Evander, you retired at the age of 51. Did you think that the transitioning from professional prize fighting into the real world, so to speak, without fighting, would be easier or harder than it actually was?
Well, you know, I didn't think that anything would be tougher than boxing, because, you know, boxing is different skills. It's a different skill level, you know. And fight, you know, in sports is fast paced. You know, business is like, it's a journey. It's like you run a marathon. You wonder when you're gonna get it, cause you know, athletic is almost like a sprint. It's like, this is what you like when you're young. You're real fast. And you see the results a lot quicker. And you know, but you learn that when you're in business, it's not that fast. You know, you have to take your time. You're responsible. The responsibilities are a lot great, and you got a lot of different people, and it take time to know people. It's not an overnight thing. It's not you yourself. It's you and somebody else. I was called business work with you and a lot of other people, and you got different people, different colors, and different thoughts and different ways they do things, and you have to make sure that you cover. And you know, and it's good to have good friends, like somebody who knows something that you don't know.
Well, you can't just walk into the office and beat somebody up like you can in the ring. That's for sure. So what would you say to somebody who's coming out of spending 20, 25 years of their life perfecting their craft in whatever sport it may be, and now is transitioning into the real world? What messages would you give them for them to help them transition successfully, Evander?
Well, and the most important thing is just like this: it's about goals, setting goals and all that. But before you set the goal, you got to know what you want to be. and you know, you got to find out what you love, and not you. And I feel that people fail in life because they go for the money. You got to go for something that you love, something that you can wake up and look forward to and feel good by going, more so than I'm going for the money and I hate it. And once people start speaking with their mouth and start hating and all this, it's going to tear them down. It's going to weigh you down. But you find something that you love and that you're passionate for, and it pay the bills, then that's what I would suggest. But it's just like anything else. You have to ask questions, and that's one of the biggest problems that got me in trouble, and in my finances and stuff like that. To become successful, I did what my mother told. My mother said, zip it up. You know what? You ask too many questions, don't ask questions. Just do what they tell you to do. I did these things and I made it. But when you have money, you have to ask questions. Don't dare take the money from you. Because if you don't ask no question, you really gonna lose whatever you make. It's just that. So the transition was me open up, and if I didn't understand something, tell a person that I don't understand. Not to be afraid to tell somebody, I don't understand what you're saying. Can you explain this? And why would you do business with somebody who don't want to explain? Because when you get to understand, you can't be so embarrassed or so fearful that what people think about you if you don't understand what they're saying. And there's a lot of that I did do. I didn't understand, and I just kind of act like I understood it, but didn't understand nothing. It was amazing that I did lose everything, because the fact of the matter, I made a lot of mistakes. But God's grace was sufficient. So I didn't get tore bad. Your mistakes only show you that how good God is. It'd be easy to say that I ain't need God if I ain't make no mistakes. But I made so many, I need Him.
Have you ever felt overwhelmed in the business world, Evander?
Not exactly. I think all the things that I went through boxing, and and I realized that life's about just opening your mouth and talking, and being able to breathe, and start realizing that it's something I can do they can't do, and it's something they can do that I can't do. And that would make the world go round. If people didn't need no help from nobody, then when nobody probably talk to each other. You just find that it's real simple. Is that you're gonna find somebody who knows something, and then you're gonna know something they don't know. And so when people come to understand and realize that, oh wow, hey, it's right, because little things that you think that you don't need. Now run out of gas somewhere, or let your tire flat. If you ain't used to changing tire, what are you gonna do? It's always, it's real simple stuff. Kind of like amazing when you see what happened. You remember when New York, they didn't want to get the trash collector raised, and they went on strike. The whole city stopped. They end up paying them people. Because they realized that they didn't think it could be that bad. But in a couple of days, how bad it got when did nobody empty trash. So it lets you know that everything is important.
Right.
When you don't need it.
That's right. What would you say your greatest sports moment was?
I think making the Olympic team. I was so honored, so happy to be able to represent our country. Because you had 12 fighters, and you said this is the best that our country have. And in the process, and we we end up winning 9 gold medals and 1 silver and 1 bronze. And so, right today, we are the most talked about team that it was because we won that many medals.
Right. Well, congratulations on that. What would you say your greatest accomplishment has been outside of the ring?
Well, I just look at it. I'm so happy to be a Christian, and and being that mean that allowed me to be the person who I am, and I can see that if I didn't get that as a kid, I would have been doomed to society.
Great, excellent. And Evander, do you talk about accountability to your children and the youth that you work with, accountability?
Well, the thing is the only thing that I could do is tell them the mistakes that I made, and and share with them some things that I really know that work for me. And I was that kid that didn't nothing happen to me as a kid. And because my mother did a good job. I truly think that the things happen to kids, the things that the parents choose not to tell their kids that may happen to them. And but my mother would never let me spend a night over nobody's house, and my mother wouldn't let me go nowhere where that she didn't know who that person was and all that, to some kind of accountability. So and so I can't say I did well for myself. My mother did an excellent job.
Excellent. Evander, there's 3 big sport names that are probably getting ready to retire here shortly: Tiger Woods, Peyton Manning, and Kobe Bryant. Knowing what you know now, what advice would you give those 3 superstars as they prepare to transition into the real world?
Well, those 3 guys, they definitely have great business people with them, because they've been at the top of their game. I ain't gonna say it's from the start, but they have been there, and they wouldn't be doing that well if they ain't got good guidance. So only thing that I don't know about people personal life. Everybody have their little ups and downs, little shakes up, but that's a whole part of life. That's just a part of living. The whole thing. I really don't have advice for nobody who don't ask, because I don't. Because people who live good life, that show you that they don't need that. They living good already. They living good, and they unfortunately, you know what? You're not gonna have that number 1 position the whole way, and it's a proven fact. You can hold it for a while, but you just hold it for somebody else, and that's part of life, and that ain't too bad, because the fact of the matter, each generation is supposed to get better.
Right, exactly. Well, speaking of that, what do you see your role as a leader, and what is the legacy that you want to leave for others?
Well, the thing is, I would like, just as I just mentioned, I'd like to tell everybody each generation is supposed to get better. And I say, now, don't be a Scrooge, not saying, well, I'm not going to help nobody. I'm saying that's the only reason why records are not broken. The people who set the record won't tell people how they did it. Which is sad. Each generation, you're supposed to pass the knowledge down. You shouldn't be crying or upset because your record broken. That's to let you know that the sport is still growing. The country's still growing, because when you keep statistics or things, because you want to get better. You want to show this is what life is about. There's a growing thing. I'm talking, we supposed to love each and every day. You're supposed to teach these great things that your parents taught you. You keep passing it down, and everybody, then when you get older, you add a little bit more to it. Say, look, this is what happened. If you don't do this, then you won't make this mistake. and your kids will be a lot better. And my mother told me at a young age. She said, "Son, you're not poor." She said, "I'm poor, but if you don't make the mistakes that I make, then you won't have this problem." And that's kind of start things out, because I remember going to school because my mother didn't read, my father didn't read, and I told my mama I didn't want to go to school no more, and she said, "Why?" I said, "Because they can't read and they laughing at me." And my mom said, "Son, why do you think I'm sending you to school? If you could already read, you wouldn't have to go to school." So, you know what? The purpose of going to school is to learn these things that you don't know. My mom said, "Who the pastor was in the school?" I said, "Well, I am." She said, "Okay, then. Don't nobody want to go to school because they ain't faster than you?" I said, "Mama, we ain't running though." She said, "That's what I'm saying. Don't brag about your running. You ain't got to worry about them. Brag about it. They can read better than you." and pretty much that's what it was, because I beat people at running. I beat you. Okay, then what they said, I can read better than you. So my mama told me, zip it up. So not that you actually. You go to school and you go to places to learn something that you don't know. And so pretty much that's what you find that life is really about. Repetition, doing things over and over again. So, to learn how to read, you have to overcome the fear of what somebody thinks and what somebody say. But these are the things that allow me to. So I said, "Wow, man, I'm a good fighter and all this." And they said, "Why?" Because I do it all the time. I'm not afraid of it. I know I can do good. So confidence is that great thing that the Bible speaks about, it said, because anything that is not confidence become fear. It makes you want to run, makes you get upset with somebody else because they just looking at you. Because all of a sudden you start thinking for them, start thinking, if they laughing at me, what they doing? They gonna do this, they gonna do. It's amazing that fear will destroy everything, and that's the reason why love is so important. That encouragement and all these things, but in love you have to endure something. You have to take chances. You have to take chances on losing to be a winner. And these are the things that I have to offer when I talk to the young people and tell them, hey, I would have never made it. I said, because, I thought only way that you could be like Ali is to be perfect. And I guess, I had a coach that told me, he said, look, repetition is what makes you successful. I said, he said, you didn't lose, you just didn't get the decision. But you keep on, you get the decision. So, because I didn't quit, I eventually got it. And and pretty much I go all over the world talking to not just kids, but to adults and parents and all this. Because people say, wow, your mother did that. I said, she sure did.
Well, Evander, we certainly appreciate all the good words. I had a coach tell me one time, practice doesn't make perfect. Perfect practice makes perfect. What would you say to that?
Well, and which is true, because but what he's saying, but no, you practice. That's when you make adjustment. You always make an adjustment, and perfect practice do get the job done. Because if you never did make no adjustments, then you just go and doing the same thing without even thinking. But perfect practice do allow you to be successful.
Well, everyone, we certainly hope you've enjoyed our conversation with the world champion, Evander Holyfield. I know I have. You've been listening to the Championship Showcase, Secrets for Success from the Playing Field of Competition, the Field of Life. We're just about out of time. Evander, if you had 3 pieces of wisdom for somebody to have a very successful life, what 3 pieces of wisdom would you give them?
Well, it wouldn't have to give them, but Jesus Because Jesus worked. You gave them Jesus, and they got everything they need.
Okay. Let's say somebody may not have the same beliefs in Jesus like you do, just for the conversation's sake. What else would you give them?
Well, I tell them honor their parents. Because, you know, that's kind of turn things on. So when people can honor their parents, then they can listen to somebody. But people who don't honor their parents don't listen to nobody.
Okay. So belief in a higher power, let's say, honoring your parents. What would be the third piece?
Well, never let nobody outwork you.
Okay.
You got everything there.
Well, excellent, Evander. We really appreciate it. Repetition, confidence, love, taking chances, honoring your parents. Have a belief in a higher power, and never let anyone outwork you. Champ, we really appreciate your time tonight. Thank you so much. We know you're so busy traveling and doing great things out there. We want to thank you so much. Any last thoughts for our listeners, for those athletes that are making a career transition?
Well, you know, just like I said, listen, follow us, and don't quit. Success is yours.
Excellent. Well, we want to thank you again, Evander, for joining us. And we encourage all of you who feel you might need some assistance out there in your career transition, please reach out, get the help you need. You have purpose and you have value. For the 5-time world champion, Evander Holyfield, this is Dominic Militello. For now, we want to wish you all the best always, and we'll catch you next time.